Hi everyone. Hopefully you were seeing this on Wednesday, and while I may have already uh, announced it on Instagram, I guess we're going to make it official here. I am kicking off Watercolor Summer 2024 a little early this year. This coloring tag will run from the beginning of June to the end of September, and we've been doing this, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, and I really enjoy it. It gives me a chance to use water in my coloring books, which can be kind of scary and daunting to do. And yes, you know, like with any other coloring medium, you can try new things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the cool thing is you learn as you go. And so that's the reason I created this tag, was just to encourage people to use, you can use watercolor in your books. Sometimes you have to get a little creative depending on the type of paper you use, but it can be done and you can get really good results. So I figured I'd show you guys a couple examples. Now, I'm pretty laid back with this tag in that if it uses water, basically you can include it in this tag. So that can include water-based markers, Crayola Super Tips or Tombows. You can use them as watercolors, or you can just use them as actual markers, a marker layer on paper. An acrylic wash that you dilute with water would work. Inktense pencils, even though they're not technically watercolor pencils. Of course, watercolor pencils, watercolor paints, gel crayons that you activate with water, gelatos. There's a lot of possibilities here. Watercolor pens, different things like that. So I figured I'd show you just a couple examples of things I've done in the past during Watercolor Summer, at least partially. Grains of Gold by Hannah Carlzon. I actually did this page, which is a gelato base, and then Artisto color pencil shading over the top. And what I like to do during the summer is do demos with different types of mediums and different types of books to show you how I approach it, what works, what doesn't for me, and then, you know, maybe that gives you a little encouragement to try using water in your coloring books as well. Of course, this is on a little bit thicker paper than, say, Amazon paper. I also did this 2-page. I tried 2 different things. This page has, so one of the things you can use with paper, if you don't like how the watercolor does, the water mediums do on just the regular papers, you can cover it with something like clear gesso or satin glazing liquid and treat the paper before you use watercolors. And so this was a comparison of treated paper with the satin glazing liquid, which is what I like to use, versus just using the paper as is. And I think it's a Neocolor tube background, Neocolor tube base on them, and then pencil shading on top of that. And like in this case, what I found is I like the treated paper. It blends the Neocolors better in the background, but I don't like the treated paper as much with shading pencil over the top of it. It creates more texture than I really want on the page. So I prefer just the plain paper if I'm going to do shading, but then on like backgrounds like this. So in this case, I would want to use the satin glazing liquid, but just try to use it on the background instead of the picture itself. So that's the kind of stuff I do during this tag, during the summer, is try different setups, try different things. And like I said, we see what works, what doesn't. We have fun along the way. And I also do watercolor in the way that I enjoy the most. It's not all just learning. We also just have fun with the stuff we know works. Easy Summer. Y'all just saw this Sunday. This is the Museum Aquarelle watercolors, watercolor pencils, which I found is one of the few pencils I can use on Amazon paper without treating the page and use minimal water to activate. So it doesn't cause the page to be as damaged or as wrinkly as other water type mediums, water activated mediums would do. There's still some, but not as bad. And so like I said, I have numerous examples of the ability to use watercolor on Amazon paper, but there are like tricks and tips to that. So you got to decide what you want to invest in that to get that look, or if you'd rather just, you know, copy it onto more water-friendly paper, and I've done that as well. And then Autumn Charm by Teresa Goodridge. I have this page. This was all done using the Artisto Real Brush pens, which are watercolor pens, and I did this. I started it during watercolor summer, and then I think the next year I finally finished it up. But those blend really well. I just wish they had more colors. I feel like sometimes I'm limited in the palette that they have, but you could use those types of pens. So just some examples, but I will put the tag in the description. I will, like I said, feel free to post it on Instagram. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to do collections, like a showcase at the end of the month. I know Instagram's made some changes where it's hard to see everybody's pages. You can't just click on the tag and have them all show up like we used to. So that's still up in the air, but I would like to be able to showcase them, but we'll see how that goes. So yeah, here is your official announcement. And like I said, it's water. If you haven't used a lot of water in your coloring books and you're nervous to start, you know, maybe get some heavy cardstock. Maybe start off with something that takes water a little better and start off with that first. A lot of it depends on the paper. A lot of it depends on the medium is what I found. And so hopefully during these tags during the summer, I can show you the nuances and the different things that I've learned. And like I said, your experience may be different, but at least you have, you know, something to look at and think about. So, all right, there's your official announcement to that. Now we'll move on to the coloring chat. All right, so you probably remember this book from my flip through on Sunday. I said I was gonna really need to focus on this series of books that I went through during my coloring book collection on Sunday, because a lot of them I haven't colored in or haven't colored in a while. And so today we're going to, I don't know if I want to officially call this a demo or because this is nicer watercolor paper, but it is kind of a demo. So we are going to call it a demo. But we are going to at least use the Caran Supracolor watercolor pencils as the base for this picture. And then might do pencil shading on top or just make it all watercolor pencil. I don't know. We're winging this. I don't really have any colors picked quite yet. And so we're just going to kind of wing it because that's what I need today. And so part of this video is going to be real time as I'm talking, and probably this first demo part. And at some point I'm going to have to switch over to a voiceover. I know you guys really like hearing the outdoor sounds here. We have a lot of birds that come and hang out and everything. The people that normally have the music going are out right now, so I figured I'd try to do as much as I can out here while I can, and then we might move to a voiceover level, or if it starts storming, which is a distinct possibility as well. All right, I don't even have these in there. I finally got the case for these. So the Supracolors, if you want to see my overview where I got them, I bought them as a birthday gift to me, for myself and I, during the month of May. My birthday was May 20th, and I go over those in my supply haul. I'll try to put that in a card in the top right, but you can go check that out. That was a couple weekends ago. And yeah, so we're going to try them out and see how these do. And like I said, we're going to put them on some of the best paper to use, which would be, I guess, ideally watercolor paper, but this heavy cardstock that this book is, which is Hello Spring by Lenka Filonenko. Hopefully I said that. I probably didn't, but let's see here. So we're going to start out with a sky blue, I guess, so 141. What number is this? This would be a lot easier if it was in my book. Okay, there's my sky blue. So I don't normally have to sharpen my watercolor pencils like I do my colored pencils, because we're just putting a base layer on here that's going to be dissolved anyway. So we're just going to start out. Sometimes I will move, I'll just lay down lines and not worry too much about it. If they're pencils that take a lot more water to dissolve, sometimes I'll make sure I do the little circles. But with this thicker paper, I have a little more ability to use more water. So if you're not familiar with using watercolor in your coloring books, I have found in my experience, depending on the materials you use and what paper you're using, for it to be a very easy and kind of rewarding way to color, particularly for me, because, hang on, let me figure out what I'm doing next here before we continue on. Like I said, I normally already have my colors pulled, and we are just roughing it today. So, we might go with, this is my swatch chart, by the way, which I could be showing here. I don't know why I feel like I need to pull it off screen. We could go with the dark green, though I may need to use like a gray green or something for shading for that. Generally, so with a watercolor base, if you're going to put pencils or something over the top, I typically try to go with medium to light colors so that the shades I pick to shade with are darker and show up a little better. So that is one tip when you're doing basing in a picture. Try to use medium to light colors so that your shading over the top can be medium to dark and will show up a lot better. So like typically dark green would be too dark for me. So let's actually do this bluish green right here, this 200. I can easily find it, will be the next thing. This is greenish. Did I say greenish blue? No, I said grayish green. No. I said bluish green. I'm close. Like I said, this would be a whole lot better if I had my book, because I could easily designate or find them in the book. It's a little bit more difficult in the trade, but that's all right. Yeah, we'll go with this bluish green we'll do all the bushes in this. I wonder if I can zoom in a little bit here. So this is a little more awkward and a little less clean and smooth like my inside pictures are, because I'm actually using my cell phone instead of my camera. And obviously there are places I want to zoom in. And I don't want to forget I'm zoomed in, because then I'll color half part of the picture. If you've been around for a while, you know sometimes I will color the picture off camera and forget that it's zoomed in. So hopefully I don't forget that. We'll just do this section up here, and then I'll try to remember that I've done that. Now one cool thing about this too is that in Lenka's books, she's already included some grayscale shading, which I will build. If I do shading over the top, I will build upon, but it is nice to already have that layer. So I am a big fan of, I don't do just plain colored pencil pictures very often. I do want to change that, but they're going to take time, and I have to learn how to be consistent with my pencil pressure, because I've noted before I have a lot of issues with pain in my right arm, fatigue easily, and using pencils, especially because I tend to be a heavy pressure pencil kind of person, can cause a lot of pain in my arms. And so I find for me the best way to color, the easiest and most fun way to color, is to have a base and then use pencil shading on the top. So it could be markers. That's usually my go-to. And then watercolor pencils and watercolors as a base is a faster way, in my opinion, and a enjoyable way to create a base on a picture, because even with watercolor pencils, you know, you're just putting that initial pigment down, and like you're not really having to put a lot of pressure on. Now what you can also do with watercolor pencils is you could shade with those as well, shade with layers of watercolor to build up just a full watercolor picture. I actually meant to include that one in my watercolor summer kickoff, because I'm really proud of that picture where it's just all watercolor layers built up on each other. And I would like to do more of that this summer as well. Not feeling like it has to be just perfectly shaded with colored pencil every time. Knowing this is a very loud vehicle, I apologize. It's one of those jacked up trucks. Got a real problem with that around here. I think some states have made it illegal. I wish they would here, but no, in Tennessee. The Tennessee legislature never does anything that's actually worth anything to anybody. They just spend their time screaming about drag queens and limiting what teachers can have in their classroom, and then arming them. We can't trust them with books, but we can give them guns. Yeah, okay, that's that's gonna be my quick political moment of the day. Our Tennessee legislature is useless. There are things I do love about Tennessee, don't get me wrong, but boy, if it wasn't for my family living here, the way I would be looking. My brother and I have talked a lot about it, and we've kicked around the idea of, let's see, that was bluish green. Let's go with Veronese green. Is that enough of a difference? I think so, because we could do the bluish green over that. You know, I wonder if the Pablo pencils have the same color names. Tammy was talking about that from Tammy Colors 2 in a recent video, about how she wishes companies that have both colored pencils and like watercolor pencils would use the same color names, so that like when you want to shade with the pencils, then you know which shades are, according to your swatch, you can use for blending a whole lot easier. And I agree with that. Artisto does that, and that's really nice. I like that they do that a lot. And I don't know if Artistos are different. We're going to be reviewing those, I think, this month, so I'll be able to tell y'all for sure. At least the colored pencils, not the watercolor pencils. Though I would like to build a series. Wow, that is really not that different a green, is it? I would like to build a, so we're going to go a little wider. We're going to say that's the background. And then let's go with grass green, because we're going to go with a really light green for this foreground. So let's go with, yeah, the grass green, which I believe is in this next tray. Yeah. I just really wish they would do that, because it just makes it so much easier. So like, I know Caran Dash has the Pablo pencils, is that correct? So I wonder if the Pablo pencils match this naming convention. Those are on my list. I don't have many pencils left I want, thankfully. Thankfully my wallet screams. Thank God my wallet, my bank account is screaming in pure joy right now. But the Pablo pencils are probably pretty close to the last, full set that I want. Oh, damn, they're back. We'll see how quick this happens. Maybe I can at least get this little section done. It's like I only get like an hour or two window a day like this, where it's just birds, the occasional loud truck. Let's just take a moment. A little bit of, not ASMR, but a little bit of just ambient sounds. Yeah, I ought to show y'all this picture. This dove is, I think it's a dove. I used to call them pigeons, but I'm pretty sure they're actual doves. This dove is absolutely going after this bird seed in this. And I'm pretty sure they're doves because I can hear them coo. And at first I thought it was an owl, but it's not. It's doves. So I'll have to show y'all some pictures of the bird feeder. I might show y'all some pictures of the backyard while we're doing this, like maybe at the end or something. So if you want to see those, stay tuned. We might blend this into this here. Are we still in camera? Is the next thing I gotta look. Yeah, we're still in the thing with the thing, and that's a little brighter green. So, all right. So now we're gonna move to like a yellow green. I think. Yeah, let's go with the yellow green. That's spring green. I'd rather do the yellow green. And oh boy, I cannot remember what I was talking about. Oh, I went on my political rant about how did I even get on that subject? I can't remember. It surely wasn't passing a law to make all your colors and your pencil sets the same. That wasn't it. I just mixed two things I was talking about. Oh, that's how things roll around here when when I'm not doing the official like voiceover, nice cleaned up video where you see things happening quickly. They're sped up instead of doing it in real time. This is a little more chaotic. I'm not quite as prepared and polished as I am in those videos. So we'll do a little bit of this kind of here in these little shaded parts, and then I'll move to the light green probably for the rest of the picture. These are going on very smoothly. I am using light to medium pressure to just put a simple layer of these. I'm not worrying about, I don't want them to look too blended or deep because we're going to be activating these with water. And so they'll blend up a little bit when we do that. I probably could add a little, no, we're just going to leave that the way it is. I think the house is still in there. So I have trouble with houses and buildings. I think we're going to do a red roof on this. So I will go with, let's go with vermilion. We'll go with a very lighter red. Here's the vermilion. We'll do a red roof. And, oh, it was the jacked up trucks thing. Yeah, I remember now. Anyway, yeah, our state doesn't actually pass any laws that are useful to people. They just make no sense, in my opinion. So I don't expect them to actually do anything worthwhile like that. So I'm not going to hold out hope that they would pass that. But so what would the poor little needing to overcompensate country boys do in this city if they couldn't have loud ass mufflers and jacked up trucks, gigantic trucks? I don't know. I'm sure they'll find something more obnoxious to do, but I am not today, like just not today for me. You can tell I am, you know, one minute like be kind to people, and today I'm just like rawr, rawr. I don't know. I don't see the point except to make noise and get attention, and I hate people that just want to seek attention for the sake of getting attention like that. I just think it's like, I think you should find a hobby or something instead of being just attention seeking. So anyway, off that subject, like I said, y'all probably, it's probably why you like the real time version of me, because usually this is where you get to see real glimpses. I try very hard. I try not to go off too much on politics or issues here, because I do want it. Well, I see this as an escape from the dumpster fire that is most of our day-to-day lives right now, and so I try not to talk about topics that are relevant to that, because you know, we're trying to do something different and get away from that. That's the first reason. And the second reason is, like, I don't want to, I know everybody has different political beliefs and different thoughts and stuff, and like, I try to keep this as accepting as I can. But man, sometimes those little filters come down. I try very hard to limit, you know, I am a big mind my own business kind of person, and I feel like all of us could have so much more enriching lives and and quit making so much scenes and acting fools if we would just mind our own business when it comes to other people, instead of taking offense because of how they look or what they're wearing or whatever. Like, I feel like it would just be a lot more peaceful if we just kind of checked our moment and, like, am I doing this for attention to validate my opinion, or am I doing this, you know, like, just mind your business, right? And so I should take a page from that book. However, when they do start affecting me, like those loud ass trucks, then it stops becoming just mind my business, and now you're in my business. And so there's a nuance there, and I haven't quite figured it out yet, but it's there. All right, let's see. We could maybe make the house more of a yellow, like we could kind of do this green ochre color. I think that would be interesting. We also have, I don't want to do like a real dull kind of darker brown. I want to do something a little bit lighter. I'm thinking of making the cat orange, so I don't want to do that. Maybe this hazel color. I think actually hazel's the way to go here. So let me find my hazel. Is this it? Yes. Yes. Okay, cool. So like, yeah, no, and that's the thing. I'd say don't be as judgmental of other people, and like, I'm just as guilty of that still. I still have to check myself. I am not perfect. And there are some times where I'm like, yeah, I'm judging. So be it. They are affecting my sphere all of a sudden. But yeah, I mean, the argument could be made. Anybody can use that to rationalize acting like an asshole. So I guess I can't necessarily do that. But anyway, there's my rant on loud vehicles. Now, I'm not talking about old farm trucks, like older vehicles that have like muffler problems. Or, I mean, in this economy, everybody is probably trying to avoid the mechanic as long as possible. So, like, old farm trucks or old vehicles that I know it's like a mechanical problem, that's different, right? Like, that's a different situation. I'm talking about the ones that are just loud on purpose. So, yeah, we might have to wrap this up. Looks like I've got mowers now instead of what I thought I was going to get. So I don't know, we'll see how loud that gets. We'll leave it for the moment. Maybe I could at least finish this house. And yeah, it's really changed. I feel like it's really changed a lot, and I've lived here about 17-18 years, and it's really changed a lot. You know, back then I could easily sit on this porch and it actually be kind of a country quiet setting, and there's been new houses put in, there's been all kinds of changes happening, and now it's like it's rare that I can come out here and just enjoy peace and quiet, because there's always noise, and I am that codgy old neighbor that just wants peace and quiet. My parents live in a like suburban subdivision on the edge of their town, which is the next big town over that I usually go to for appointments and stuff. And when I tell you their neighborhood is quieter than mine, And they live in a big neighborhood, and their neighborhood is so much quieter than this. Like, it's wild. You wouldn't expect it. I live in a town of about, how many are in city limits? It's probably like 1,200 or something. It's a very small number. And oh shoot, I didn't mean to color the very bottom of that. I was going to do a different color for the trim. But anyway, in saying all that, let's see. Let's go with chestnut. We'll just go with a slightly darker. That's a couple. Where did I pull that hazel? Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to wrap this up. We'll do the trim, and then this will probably switch to a sped up one, but y'all at least got to see me do this part, and I'll slow down the part where I'm activating the water, or activating the pigment, so I can kind of show y'all how I do that. But we've got what I was expecting to happen now happening, and now that mower's going, and he ain't gonna stop anytime soon, so we're just gonna wrap this portion up. It's okay. You'll probably see me, like, the video part will show me continuing to color out here, but I'll just like put in earbuds or something. Yeah, it's a little frustrating for sure, but I mean, what am I gonna do, right? Like, there's just not really much I can do about it. Nobody's doing anything illegal, so. And it's not even like I expect to come out here and the whole day just be absolutely quiet. It's just like, man, if I could just get an hour or two, right? Like, that would be nice. Thankfully, I can work out here during the week and use my headset to do voice, and it doesn't pick up a lot of the extra noise, but I can't do that on here because then it takes away from the actual sounds that we want to hear. So yeah, have a lot to talk about, but I've spent this first probably 20 minutes really just talking about random stuff. I would really like it. Like, I kind of wish this was a deck on the back side of the house. I feel like it would be a lot quieter on that side of the house, but let's see, what do I want to do for the windows? Maybe just make them the hazelnut color too. It would be a lot more peaceful on the back side of the house, but I wouldn't get as much, like, I probably wouldn't have as many birds back there. It would be a lot more shaded, which for me is a good thing. I only really get sun on this porch late in the afternoon, so but I think the cats like it better in the front because there's more going on up here than there would be in the back. So there's pros and cons to that, and we're just not, at least not right now, a deck with a screened-in porch is not in our plans for any time soon, because we've just got a lot of other things in the house we've got to fix. So I'm getting a little heavy-handed with this. That's okay. This is what I generally do, is I will go over it, like this, and then activate it all at the same time so I can give it plenty of time to dry without running the risk of touching it. So that's what I'm going to do, is fill it out with pencil, then activate it all, give it time to dry. Hopefully with this paper it won't take as long to dry, and then I can come back with some shading if I feel like it, or come back with more we may just do layers of this. I'm not sure yet. So let me use this red just while I'm out here. We're going to use this red for this little planter box. And then let me see. It doesn't really, I mean, it's not going to be a huge difference in the greens. That'll just make me have to grab another one. Don't want to use the grass green. Oh, let's use the yellow green for these. Goodness. That car was so loud it scared the birds off. So we got some tulips here. I might just make them yellow. We'll go with canary yellow. Whatever this yellow is. Yes. And these, so those look like drapes. My goodness. There's like 3 finches at this bird feeder right now. I might stick some more bird seed in it. This is an open-ended, oh, there's another dove. Or the same doves I've been seeing. Let's do yellow for these drapes. Just to add a little bright color in here. And I'll probably just go with a gray. Slate gray, grayish black for just these other little, oh, that's almost too dark. I thought that said house gray, but it is mouse gray. I thought, how appropriate if it's house gray. Okay. Alright, so we're going to, like I said, oh no, I messed that up, didn't I? I did. I was supposed to do that one yellow too, and this is what happens when you get distracted. That's alright. I'll just add a little bit of yellow to it. This is why you don't want to color while you're distracted. So I add a little bit of yellow to the other one. And it'll look a little muddy, but it'll be fine. Alright, so the rest of the video, with the exception of, I'll slow down a little bit when I first activate it, will be sped up a little bit. I will catch y'all up on all what's been going on, and we'll hopefully finish up this picture on this video today. So, see y'all in a bit, or I guess here in the next few seconds. Alright, so I did stay out on the porch and finish this. I wasn't sure if I was going to add pencil over the top, but as you saw from the description of this video, I did change my mind and added the Artisto 72 count pencils over the top. We need to do those. Those are next up in the pencil collection set anyway, so I need more pages where I've used those pencils. And so here we're finishing out the Supracolor watercolor pencil layer, and these went on really soft. Like, I was using soft to medium pressure on these, and they really went on this. This was super smooth cardstock paper, like very nice style paper, that like an artist edition of the book. So it went on very nicely. I'm not worrying about lines or anything like that, because when I activate this with water, it should dissolve all of that and create a smooth texture. So that's why I'm mostly scribbling. So this is my first time trying out these Supracolors. I'm pretty sure I said that in my earlier part, but I wasn't sure.
And that is why I don't do real-time coloring chats, because I will meander for 45 minutes about random stuff before I actually talk about anything. I prefer doing the voiceovers and speeding it up like this, because it would be 2 or 3 hours long otherwise. And I don't mind slowing down parts of the picture, but which I'll do in this video, like when I'm doing demos, but you also don't need to see like the whole picture in real time. I think you get kind of the gist of it after a while. So I did want to finish putting down this watercolor pencil layer on camera though. So I'm also having to redo this clip because I realized my overhead fan was on and it was causing noises against the mic. So you'll get a condensed version of what I yapped about prior. So yeah, it's been a couple months since I've done a color and chat, and while a lot has been going on, of course, it'll feel like I'm only talking about half of it, because the half that is work related, obviously, I can't really talk about. I can allude to it a little bit, but obviously can't go into details. Work and sleep is pretty much the go-to for me right now, unfortunately. And it's just a busy summer period. It's going to be pretty busy until I go on my trip at the end of the month. So hoping that usually Q2 and Q3 are the busiest times a year for us. So this was not, a surprise or anything, but the fatigue I have felt the last 2 or 3 months has been, though. The first part of the year, I was handling it okay. Like, I was just doing all right for the most part, just trying to find a groove. And then that second quarter hit, and I even stopped updating my planner. I just felt like I got walloped with the achy joint stick and the extreme fatigue stick. Usually seasonal changes really cause my fibro to flare up, and the winter to spring one is one of the worst ones, so I knew that was coming. But I have felt so fatigued the last few months, like just horrifically so. And I was having to take a number of vacation days and stuff, and also just feeling burnout. Like I said, just a lot going on, work always, personal life, and just haven't felt much. I felt so burnout, it's been hard to want to do anything but just kind of sleep and watch TikTok videos. It's been hard to even find motivation or time to color. I'm usually so wrung out by the end of the day. And I mean, for the birthday weekend I had on the 20th of May, when I tell y'all I slept for 3 days, and I was either in the bed or on the couch in the living room, sleeping or watching TikTok videos, other than feeding the cats and doing, my daily stuff. Quite literally, that was all I did that weekend, and it was needed. I mean, I felt loads better after I did that, but I had my suspicions, because I just hadn't felt fatigue like this in a long time. And my vitamin D and B12 levels are notoriously low all the time. And so when I went to see my doctor for my 3-month check-in in May, I said, please test those, because my guess is, I'd put money on this, is that at least one of them's low and tanked. Sure enough, both of them are. So I would have won double my investment there. I guess depending on what the odds are and all that nonsense. I don't know how that works. But anyway, big surprise, but it wasn't really a big surprise. Not to me. So I have to do over-the-counter vitamin D. When that happens, I just took my first dose today. Should be better in 2 or 3 weeks. My B12 shots start Thursday, and usually takes about 2 or 3 weeks with those. So hopefully by the time we get to vacation time with my brother, I will be in tip-top shape, I'm hoping. I also finally got back to seeing my old rheumatologist nearby. I had a rheumatologist, the only set of doctors in this county, and for years I just felt like they weren't taking me seriously, and I was kind of looking at the idea of getting a second opinion. And then the insurance, which I was on my husband's insurance at the time, his insurance, they stopped seeing patients without insurance. So I was like, well, this is the optimal time. I will find somebody. I guess I might have to go all the way to Nashville, though, to find somebody. And I thought I could find somebody that would be willing to actually have some due diligence and do a little bit more investigation just to make sure there's nothing else going on. No, he was an asshole. There's a lot of things I could say about that, but if you've been around for a while, you've heard about my experience with him. He's an asshole. He's awful. He gaslit me, treated me awful. All he wanted me to do is come in, smile and nod, yell at me about having too many prescriptions, fill the 2 prescriptions he had to fill. No, excuse me, just 1, and then not have to actually do anything. That's all he wanted to do. And he would get so mad anytime I would ask him to actually do something. Like, y'all would just, the audacity of me to dare ask for him to act like a doctor. I know. And to dare suggest that, he didn't even like I came to him for a second opinion. Like, how dare I question somebody in his field? Oh, God, he's just asshole. Really no other way to describe him. And the only reason I stuck with him was he offered telehealth, and it was easy to get my medicine authorized because it's expensive. It's Savella. And then it stopped being easy. They kept rejecting it, and I could never get anybody from his office to call me back to see what was going on. I tried for 2 months, and then even the final problem was they stopped doing telehealth, and I said, oh no, I'm not spending 2 hours driving to Nashville just to be gaslit by this man for 30 minutes and then drive 2 hours back home. It's not worth it. So I went back to my old rheumatologist. Now that I'm on my my company's insurance, I can see them because they do use that insurance. And it was actually pretty good. Since they hadn't seen me in a couple years, they actually did like a whole new kind of workup on me, got a new round of x-rays, blood work, things like that. When I mentioned the fatigue and everything, the doctor suggested a medication. I'm going to put the name in the description because I can't remember it right now. But it's used for dementia patients. It's supposed to help them with energy levels and kind of help with their memory and like clearing out some brain fog. But they're finding it helps with fibro patients and like chronic fatigue patients and stuff. So I started that I think about 3 weeks ago. And it does take a while. It does take a while to build up in your system. The first few days I was like, this isn't doing anything. And well, hang on. Let's talk about this. Here we are, pencil layer. Now I should be coming in and activating this with water. My favorite go-to for watercolor pencils is this grubby little Artisto water brush that you're going to see here in a minute. I use the same size brush. I'm lazy. Now I had to make sure I actually had some water flow in that brush. I had to dab it on the towel quite a bit. And as you can see, I mean, I didn't have to use a ton of water, but I definitely had to make sure there was a flow of water. So I'll be curious to try these on Amazon paper to see how they do compared to the museum aquarelles. I don't think they needed a lot of water to dissolve, but I don't know if they're just quite as easily dissolved as the museum aquarelle. And I mean, they probably aren't, but they're pretty darn close, I think. Close enough to, say they're about the same. It's just a shame you don't have 120 of the aquarelle, but you have 120 of the Supracolor. So, but anyway, yeah, the first 2 or 3 days I was taking that medicine, I was like, yeah, this isn't doing nothing. And then by that Thursday or Friday, I was like, woo! And I mean, maybe not that excited, but the problem I have is that I also tend to be an anxious person, and while this medication does have limited side effects, one thing it can cause is anxiety, because of course any extra type of energy, or is can also be make you more anxious, depending on, especially if you're not getting up and moving around like me, and you're sitting there all day at a desk getting stressed out. So I've really had to kind of keep a watch on that. I did try not taking it. I take it twice a day. I tried not taking it. I took a morning dose Saturday and then didn't take it for the rest of the weekend, kind of hoping I could reach this equilibrium of where I take it during the week when I really need it, and then on the weekends where I can rest more, to try to find a balance, at least at first, because my body is not ready for this level of energy. I can already tell, like, I, sorry, I was sitting here just watching myself do this. Like, I didn't actually do this myself, but you can see it. They're dissolving very easily. It's a good punch of color. Um, one of the, and watercolor pencils, just like watercolors, aren't really meant to be super, what's the word I'm looking for? Vibrant's not the word, but they're supposed to be a watercolor, right? Like a little diluted version of the color, right? They're not supposed to be super opaque or anything like that. And uh, but like these, I feel like give a little more punch of color, whereas a lot of budget level watercolor pencils end up being a little more washed out, which is perfectly fine when you're putting something over the top. But I almost prefer this more established base. And now looking at this, now I got to go back and look at the picture. Oh, I go back over it with pencil. We're good. There's that one tiny little space on that bush that I didn't go over with the watercolor brush, and now I'm mad, but I come back with the pencil, so it's all good. Hopefully I remember to move the camera down in a minute. I do apologize that this had to be really sped up, but it was the only way not to make this 2 hours, and it's already like at an hour and a half. So yeah, lots of big changes. Trying to get my vitamin levels back up to snuff. I That new medicine is helping, though. I am hitting a tired but wired kind of mode that I'm trying to find an equilibrium on, and it may just take some time for my body to get used to this, actually having more energy is what I'm thinking. So I probably, for the first few weeks, I just need to do a better job of being trying to balance it out a little bit. The other big thing is I am, at least not daily, I am no longer taking Ambien. That was actually a goal I had this year, was to get off that. And I was over the moon happy about that. Well, I'm happy that that happened and that it didn't turn out to be as bad as I thought it was going to be. Oh my gosh, do I move this down at some point? Please tell me I move this down at some point. Give me just a second. All right, yeah, I move it like almost, you'll see it here in just a second. So, okay. I particularly wanted to show you my kitty because each time I do, I think it's so funny. Each time I do a cat picture, I am pretty much the proudest of my cats than I am of anything else in the picture, just because I take so much time with them, because I want to get them to look at least, maybe not lifelike and realistic, but at least just a little bit. So, oh, okay. So anyway, I I had messed up. I couldn't see my doctor for um, I scheduled my appointment with my doctor for a week later than I should have. And the reason why that's an issue is because Ambien's considered a controlled substance in the state of Tennessee, and you can't get refills on it until you see your doctor. And so I found that out, fortunately, a couple weeks before I was supposed to go. And so I actually had to move to taking it every other night during that time. And while I was exhausted, I handled it better than I had in the past. And I, was like, hey, maybe this is a sign. And then when I went to see him and get it refilled, all of a sudden it was hard. I take an extended release version, and just like a lot of other medications out there, all of a sudden it was, oh, we don't know when this is going to be back in stock, and this and that. And I was trying to scramble to get him to call in a different, strength. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. And I said, maybe this is a sign. Maybe I should go ahead and try to do this sooner rather than later. And they were able to fill my normal strength, but I think it's been a week and a half since I took half that dose. And I'm handling it okay. I still, probably because my vitamin levels are still low, I am still having a really hard time when the workday's over staying awake. I'm not taking naps as much during the day during my lunches like I was. But I am going to bed a lot earlier at night and having to sleep more at night to make up for it. And like I said, if I can get, I'm working. I've noticed, I think the Ambien was contributing to a little bit of my fatigue, but not all of it, because at first I thought, wow, that really was a problem. But no, it's not the only it's not the only thing, because I have felt a lot more fatigued this week than I have the last few. It's been a little bit of a struggle this week, more so than it has been. But I feel bad because, like, this weekend, normally my weekends are relax, sleep, try to get it together for the next week. And this weekend, I spent Saturday, I went swimming, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I went to visit my parents for a while. I got home, was exhausted anyway from all that, and then had to help my husband unload our big grocery pickup that we do every couple months. And I was so tired I was shuffling around doing random stuff, because it was just, I knew if I sat down it was going to be the end of me for the day, and I physically would not be getting up and the cats would not be getting their dinner. And then Sunday was such a pretty day, and that's something else too. Rather than spend more time inside in a more restful position, either in my office or on the couch, it was so beautiful here last week. We got a week that wasn't humid, that was in the 80s. I know it disappointed all the kids that are wanting to get in the pool, because it almost felt too cold to get into like an outdoor pool. But for me, it was absolute heaven. A whole week of being able to be outside, at the end of May, no doubt, because usually this is when we start getting the swamp weather. And I just couldn't pass on being out there. I was out there till 7 or 8 o'clock at night most of the nights last week, just enjoying every last little bit before it turns into swamp weather. And yeah, it's, I think, moving into swamp weather this week. So I felt bad because, and then like I said, Sunday I was out there doing this all day, and so I didn't rest at all this weekend, and I didn't rest really that much the previous weekend. So like, it's starting to bite me in the butt a little. This is what happens when you give somebody who hasn't had a lot of energy for years suddenly a burst of energy, as they want to do all the things. And I really, I'm going back to my parents Saturday, but I really, for the next 2 or 3 weekends, other than swimming, need to rest up, so that at the end of the month when I go on my trip, I am handling it a little better. It's going to take a while for my body to get used to having energy again, and I've got to be aware of that. All right, here is the water activated side. So in the opening of this video, you could see where I show on the left side, that is the layer with the activated water. On the right side is the fully completed picture with the pencil layer. And I wanted to show that because as much as I love the watercolor page, and that's not doing layer or watercolor pencils. I thought about doing that too, and I just wasn't really in the mood to do that. I just wanted to do pencil instead. But it just blows my mind each time when I look at those two different pictures and two different points in the picture and see how much vibrancy the colored pencils bring to it. So here is the Artisto pencils, the 72 set. I am showing you all the cat himself because, again, proudest of the cat in this picture, and I felt like he was a good example to show with a little demo of these pencils. So this is a 72 set of pencils, and right away, these pencils laid down really well on this paper. Super smooth cardstocky paper. They laid down very well. They were soft. In a way, they were acting weird, and I don't know if anybody else with Artisto pencils has had this happen, but I would color with them at a sharp point, and they would be so soft, and that point would not snap, where it would leave just a little bit of a sliver of that. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I show it at some point here, but it left just a little sliver of that point. Like these, I would say you really want to get in the practice of rotating the pencil when you color, because otherwise you get this weird little jagged point that happens because they're so soft, but yet they don't break. It's it's not really a fault of the pencil. It's just weird, and it was kind of annoying me a little bit. Like here, you can see it, like I'm using the other side to try to wear down that little point. Oh shoot, I did that off camera. That stinks. Anyway, you can see the little, yeah, that little piece that just fell off right there. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Very strange. Not even my Prismacolors have done that. So I find that really odd. Though my Prismacolors, to be fair, tend to snap more often when they are on that fine a point. So, and see, you can see it doing it right there, where it's kind of just, I don't know. That was a little annoying for sure. Yep, see right there. That little bit like that. It's so strange. I've never had a pencil do that before. However, these were very nicely soft. Other than that minor annoyance, well, maybe it wasn't so minor, but they blended really well in here together. You can see I'm layering them with the slightly different colors over over his face, and I liked them in that regard. I liked how they did on this paper. Excuse me, I have a feeling that the smooth paper, we're going to try them on Amazon paper, but I have a feeling the coarser paper, I probably won't like them as much on that. These are definitely, because they're softer, I'm probably going to tend to want to use them on smoother paper, is my guess. So when I first got them, or when I first pulled them out and I was looking at the chart, I was having a really hard time finding the colors. And I was not excited about using these because I was having such a hard time. These 72 set Artisto colored pencils tend to have a lot of middle tones. Some light, some dark, but mostly middle tones, which, unless you're using very light, soft colors as a base, can make it very difficult to get any dimension if you're trying to shade over the top. So it felt like a bit of a challenge to be able to find the colors that I wanted to use, and I wasn't really enthused about using them. However, when I actually started coloring with them, I found that I liked them a lot and that they do smush together pretty nicely, like you can see here. And they layer well, just with a couple layers on top of each other, which is typically how I like to color. So I'm conflicted about these. I was like, they actually perform really well. It's those darn colors. Like, this really needs to be a curated 120 set. Love the pencils. I want more, though. And like I said, it was a bit of a challenge. I was able to get a little creative and think a little bit outside the box with them, which I should be doing anyway, but I just never feel like I have the time to do that. But overall, like I said, the performance of them I like. It's those darn colors. And one thing about this set, if you love coloring with grays, there are so many grays in this 72 set that you'll enjoy that. I tend not to shade with grays, and so I felt like the grays were taking away a lot of the darker colors that could have been included in this set. So, like, for how I color, it's not the best color choices, but as far as the pencil performance, at least, on this paper and for this particular picture, and kind of like my first real go round with these, I really like their performance. If they just wouldn't do that weird little thing. That's why I was saying rotating your pencils is always important, but I've never really had to get in the habit of doing it until I think these pencils are going to make me have to get used to that. So, anyway, so that's kind of my aside with the pencils. I don't know if I'll do another demo with, probably on Amazon paper, or if I'll just show you guys one that, some of them that I'm coloring off screen. We'll just have to see how the month goes. But yeah, so there's kind of my thoughts on the pencils. Stay tuned. We'll see how it happens as I continue to use them over bases like this in different pictures, and I have a feeling my first thoughts probably aren't going to change very much, but you never know. So yeah, back to what I was talking about. If I could just, there are big changes happening in regards to my health. I also decided I was going to start swimming again. So about a decade ago, I had dropped a significant amount of weight, about 40 to 50 pounds. And I did it through swimming. Like, I'd drive, it was 30 minutes away to a pool. I'd swim probably 2 hours on Saturdays, and then I'd drive back. And I did that weekly, and I dropped a lot of weight. And yes, they say diet affects more than exercise, and I really did. I was macronutrients and more protein, fewer carbs, things like that. And I was really watching that stuff, and that contributed a lot too. But in all honesty, exercise, I think, makes an impact for people like me who aren't moving that much to begin with anyway. Maybe it doesn't impact as much the person who's already doing 10,000 steps a day, but for people who work from home, people with chronic illness that might only be getting 2,000 or 3,000 steps a day anyway, I believe exercise can have an even bigger impact, not just on, weight loss, but overall physical health. And so I was so tired of aching and so tired of fatigue and stuff, and just, I'm at my highest weight I've ever been, about 7 pounds over my highest back then, and I was like, I've got to do something here. And so I don't tend to eat a lot anyway because I have gastroparesis, and it's hard for me to develop an appetite, basically. So you can see the pencil doing that again. Now I'm trying to use the other side. So I'm trying, I went 4 times. I took 1 week break in between the first 2 times, and I think I'm going to take another break this week just because some fatigue has set back in. And I'm also, we're going to visit with my parents this weekend, so I don't want to go swim, then come back, get my husband, and have to go back to the same town. So we're just going to skip it this week, I think. Probably be the best for me. But you got to think, I I did all that before I got sick. When I say 10 years ago, no, excuse me, 14 years ago when I lost all that weight. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. 10 years ago is when I got sick, and so started getting sick and having health issues. And I thought, let's try this again. Now, I've only been going an hour, not two. It's still an hour's a lot. I got a new fitness watch because my Fitbit apparently is not water resistant like it said it was. It's okay. It had been around a while. It was time to upgrade anyway. But I got one that tracks laps at the pool because I like being fancy about it and nerdy about it. Like I said, I went 2 weeks. I took a break. I went another 2 weeks. This last week, I actually bought a snorkel so I could just swim laps and not have to try to come up for air. And the thing I noticed is because I'm not very strong, and the thing I read is because I'm not super strong muscle wise in my arms and my legs yet, that it was better for me to try to use the snorkel to build up that muscle first before I try swimming and doing the, coming up for air pattern. And that was such a game changer Saturday. Like, I felt like I could just keep going and going back and forth in that pool when trying to come up for air the previous times was just making me not be able to hardly do any laps. So I'm gonna get back to coloring here at some point. I don't know what I'm doing here. I was distracted by something, I imagine. But I figured I'd show y'all the rest of this clip and then we'd look at the finished picture together. But it's going well. Like I said, you're talking about somebody who really just has not been very active at all, and every time I've tried to start being active, it's caused I've ended up in physical therapy for one thing or another. And so I figured swimming would be the least likely to cause that to happen. And so far so good. I don't want to keep going and then get burnt out and then not go. Yeah, there was one thing right here. Sorry. I was getting distracted by me coloring again. It almost felt a bit smudgy, streaky on this section. Now, I don't know if maybe I just didn't activate the Supracolor layer very well. Sometimes colored pencils will act a little wonky over the top if you didn't fully activate the watercolor pencil. But it was just weird how it happened. Like, maybe it was just this one color in the colored pencils. And it was, the irony was that I don't particularly like using pink, and there's not a lot of pinks in this set. But in this case, I actually did need quite a few pinks because of what I colored. So I don't know. Joke's on me, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, that's been part of it, is just trying to juggle all that. I'm not really counting calories or watching my macros. I'm trying to increase my protein content, my fiber content, basically. And if I do go swimming, I'm allowing myself, if I want like a frozen pizza and some kids marshmallow cereal, I can have it as long as I actually go swimming. If not, then I gotta do without. So so far that seems to be working. I'm probably down about 4 to 5 pounds for the past month, which I didn't want anything drastic anyway. I knew it wasn't going to be drastic this time, especially since I'm not living on baked chicken breast and rice. I am eating healthier, but it's not, I'm not making huge drastic changes. So I figure this will just be more sustainable in the long run. Sorry I'm yawning so much. This is what happens when I hit the end of the day. This is why you don't get a lot of these types of videos from me. Um, because we hit the end of the day and it's just like, then I start yawning. Um, but so all that's going on. I figured I could take a break and then I will go swimming the weekend of the 15th and the 22nd. And then I will be on my trip the following weekend. We'll be doing a ton of walking, so I'll skip it then. And then maybe after that, I'll have built up enough strength that maybe I don't need to skip weeks anymore. But we'll see how it goes. Let's see what else. Oh, big thing happened. My mom has been having a few health issues again the last few months, and my dad had his birthday in May too, and he is 1 year away from retirement, and he really wanted to make it that last year, mostly for insurance reasons, because heaven forbid that, we have, our country have a actual decent insurance, medical insurance system in place, so people don't have to wait till they're halfway in the grave before they can retire. But I digress. And so anyway, so my mom was having so many issues, and my dad just started running some numbers because he was like, I'm thinking about retiring early. Plus, he's done. I mean, my dad, he worked on farms growing up as a country kid. There's no telling when he officially started working. They work those kids to death because they don't hardly have to pay them. But, he's probably worked since he was in his early teens, and he just turned 64, and he's done. And so, he made the decision to retire, and he made it pretty quickly and was like, yeah, no, I'm retiring the 7th. And he had a few PTO and vacation days left, so his last day was actually today at his company. And I'm so proud of him. I'm so happy for him. I know, like, he wants to be there to take care of my mom, but, this is for him as well, and finally gives him some time to relax and enjoy after so many years of working. And there, there's a lot of things there. If his company had treated him a little better, and because he could have done his job remotely, and had they allowed him to do the job remotely and still be there to be able to take care of my mom, he might have stayed. He probably would have stayed till he was retirement age, or even after that. But no, everybody has to go back in every day. And it's just a shame because he was a critical person in his role, and they lost him just because they couldn't be flexible with him. And he finally just said, enough's enough, and I don't blame him. And I'm proud of him for standing up for himself. So anyway, that's exciting. I hung out with my mom yesterday to kind of just be there with her just in case, while my dad was finishing things up. And then my brother was able to work from home today with his job so that he could be there with her. And so, yeah, they threw him a little bit of a going away retirement party today. And he wasn't expecting it, but it's the people he works with. They know his worth. They know his value, and he is going to be missed. And it's just a shame the company didn't see it, but is what it is, and he's moving on, moving out. So I'm happy for him, and I'm proud of him. So let's see. Cats. Bimo will have been here 3 months officially, I think June 20th. She is pretty much fully comfortable. Actually, she's a little too comfortable. She is starting to get interested in going outside and like outside the screen porch. And when I came in from feeding the birds this morning, I turned around to close the door and she'd already waltzed herself right out onto the top step of it going into the yard. And I had to like snatch her up. I was like, "What are you doing?" Um, so that's the problem is she's very confident and she doesn't spook easily, but she's confident to a fault where it is going to be hard to deter her from going out the door. Unlike my other cats who are, have learned that the outside's spooky scary and they don't want to go out there. Next time she's at the vet, I need to make sure she gets microchipped. But she's doing well. Wish I had more time to play with her. That's the one problem. She is a young cat in a house full of geriatrics, and she, I think she doesn't want to play with them, but she does. Like she hates us all, but she really doesn't. And she wants to play and she wants to interact, but then she just, I don't know, she gets overwhelmed so easily, but she doesn't really, I don't know how to explain it. It's the weirdest thing. I gotta get video, y'all, of the way she purrs, and then I pick her up and she whines and grumbles and growls and carries on and sounds like you're murdering her, and yet she's purring too. It's the weirdest thing. I've never had a cat do this before. She is like multiple personalities. But she is a hoot. I try to play with her as much as I can. It's just very difficult to do so when I get so caught up in work. And so, she probably could use a little more playtime, a little more interaction. But she is very good at entertaining herself. She has these little feather toys that she loves to play with that when she gets real bored, she'll go toss those around for a while. She'll scramble in a box and run around like a gremlin. She's very good at entertaining herself, which means she's a good fit for this house. And a little bit more concerning news. We think Bagheera might have had a small stroke last week. It was about the middle of the week. He suddenly had severe weakness in his back legs trying to get up and walk around. He's been kind of weak and iffy on his back legs for about a year, but part of it's his arthritis. Part of it's the fact that he's taking gabapentin twice a day, which, it can be have sedative effects, but he needs for the stomach pain from the Cushing's. But this was like on a whole nother level of him just really, and he seemed just a little kooky, and so the vet looked at a video and said, yes, it probably is a stroke. However, there's nothing we can really do except just monitor and see like what type of function comes back and stuff. And thankfully it was something small because he bounced back pretty quickly. I'd say he's 90% even now. He still is a little bit iffy on his back legs every now and then. And I worry about that just because, I don't know what caused this. I don't know if it's going to happen again. We're having a little bit of trouble keeping his thyroid numbers down, as I mentioned before. And even though he's on medication, so I don't know. I wonder if there's other things going on in his head and just various things. And all I can do, he is living the good life. He can sleep to his heart's content all day and eat, and then usually to some capacity every day he gets to sit with me and my husband and get rubbed on and petted and loved for as long as he wants. So he is living the best life he can live right now in a good quality of life, and so my goal is just to keep that as long as we can go. But I do worry, being gone, that something will happen again while I'm gone. Winry, he will go in for a recheck on everything on the 21st. Winry's also going to get her heart murmur recheck just to see how it's progressed the last few months before my trip. I just want some reassurance before I go. And then Reba Cheap, who y'all saw in my video Sunday, had to go to the vet today because we found this like little golf ball sized lump under his chin and scared me to death, and turns out it was an abscess, and the vet thinks he got into a fight with another cat, which he never does. And I've not seen him get in any type of conflict. The guess would be Mimo, but he's not gotten into a conflict with anybody as far as we know. My guess is he probably scratched himself because he itches a lot around that funky ear he has. So he had to go get that drained. Thankfully, it was just an abscess, but it just never stops. It's just like, and then Leroy's been on and off with his stomach issues. So, but we're going to take a quick moment here in just a second and show the finished picture. So I got a little impatient with the shading around the grass, so it looks a little scribbly. But for the most part, I love how this picture turned out. I think the Artisto pencils did a really good job on this paper. Like I said, that pink was a little weird. The way the tips were wearing as you colored with the pencil was a little weird. They are crumbly. I did notice that, a little bit dusty, so definitely keep like a big makeup brush or brush to brush those off. You'll also notice, I think in the pictures, I was using a artist glove on my hand because I don't always color left to right. I can sometimes cause stuff like that to smudge because I put my hand on it and the oils on my hand will make it smudge. So between the glove and the makeup brush, I didn't have any smudging issues with these. I think they did a great job, and I'm curious to see what they're going to do. The performance of the pencils so far, I don't have an issue with, except for just a few little weird nuances of the pencils. But the thing I have an issue with so far is just the color palette, and I wish it was a little bit better curated set. So am I going to use these a lot? I really don't know. I'd love to, because I love how they lay down. I just don't know if I've got other sets that will do a better job with the color choices that I need for pictures like this. So that's what I'm thinking going into using these on other pages. Stay tuned for probably my review of the Artisto pencils sometime this month. And as far as the Supracolors, I am super happy with them. Ha ha! That is my joke for the week. If you stayed to the end, congratulations. You got that little tidbit for your listening pleasure. I'm an idiot. And but no, I'm very happy with that purchase. I actually was going to use the Chroma Flows that I bought for this as well, but I wanted to use the Artistos first. So we'll demo those in another page maybe this month. I'm really proud of myself. I said with this piece of the collection, this coloring book, in this section of the coloring book collection from Sunday, that I want to get into a lot of these books because a lot of them I either haven't colored in a long time or haven't colored in at all, and I'm already jumping on that, so I'm proud of myself for that. And the edge on this picture is just a sparkle jelly roll glitter gel pen, so I just didn't want to be fussed, and I'm like, we're just going to use the gel pen. But I thought this picture was cute. Again, my favorite part is of course the cat, though the bra is quite humorous as well. It's always the cat, and as you can see how much time I lovingly spend on the cat as compared to the rest of the picture. So I'm trying to think if there was anything else I needed to mention. I think I've got you all kind of up to speed. Just still trying to find that elusive balance. I'm really hoping by July some things are different. I'll, be back from my trip. Hopefully, all the health issues the cats have had will hold and kind of chill out for a while. I do have to go to Boston in July for a work trip. Um, and I've got a lot to do between now and the end of the month, and then that now on that Boston trip. But I'm kind of hoping maybe after I get back from that, like things will calm down a little bit. It's just a busy time of the year. From May, April to like the end of June, beginning of July is usually like this. And then last year I noticed it was like this from July to September too. But we're going to have watercolor summer this month. As you saw, this was a grand kickoff for that. And so expect more demos from me on using watercolors. If there's anything specific you would like to see, feel free to leave a comment and I'll see what I can do if I have it and I have an idea on, what to show you, then I'll do that. Yeah, like I said, we'll see how the next month goes and just try to, like I said, if I can get, if the vitamin D and B boosting that I think's going to happen happens, I'm really hoping by like the second half of June, I am feeling a whole lot better. I'm able to do more coloring, do more videos, feel more like myself. And yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry this was so scattered, but I will be back this weekend, at least with a coloring book collection video. I don't know if I'll do another video or not. We'll just kind of have to wait and see what comes, what come what may. But I think it'll just probably be the coloring book collection video, but we'll see. All right, guys, thanks and bye for now.